Hey, this is John Murphy at MurphTech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on August the 18th in the year of our Lord 2026, and I've got some great information for you tonight. Let me go ahead and click over here to Murtech on Rumble. All right, this is my Rumble channel, and this is the live stream we're going over tonight, episode 2013. Let's go ahead and jump into that. Let me go ahead. My Rumble Chris, and hello to Debbie BS in the chat box. If anybody else wants to join us, feel free to do that. Let me slide down here and click the Show More button to expand out the description box. We have information from Dan Bongino, Dr. Steve Turley. We have Sean on the Bongino Report. Also, I guess that's SFLive, Sean Farish Live. Okay. Wendy Bell Radio. But let's go ahead before we get into that and give some shout outs here to Jen's Gizmo, just started following my channel. VSAD just started following my channel. Zoe B just started following my channel. Hawaii 50 Assembly just started following my channel. Diane Merritt just started following my channel. Colt 4 just started following my channel. Jack Ellie 2 just started following my channel. M Prod of Kids just started following my channel. Jeep Man 2019 just started following my channel. Thor Lisa just started following my channel. Jay Wobby just started following my channel. And OC Jammer just started following my channel. Susie 1962 just started following my channel. Ford 7810 just started following my channel. And Back God just started following my channel. So thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in, and I hope you enjoy the content. Alrighty then, Debbie BS reposted my episode 2012. Arky72 just gave me a comment on my episode 2012. Feed Me the Volcano and LBGT for Trump commented on my extra 792A. Debbie BS commented on my extra 794C. Debbie BS commented on my extra 795A. 795B and 795C. So thank you very much, folks, for reposting my videos and your comments. I enjoy reading your feedback, and I definitely appreciate your support. So let me go ahead and give this a thumbs up. Boom. There we go. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into this. Dan Bongino, Can't Fix Stupid, episode 2576. Let's jump into this and see what he has to say.
Again, I just want to put a disclaimer at the beginning of the show. If you've already made up your mind that Joe Kent, and thank you for your service to the country, Joe, I mean it. I promise this is not personal. I'll prove it to you. But stupid is a choice. If you're going to continue to say stupid things that are verifiably stupid, this show's not for you. I'm really sorry, but you need to go somewhere else. You're going to be bored. You're not going to like it. You're going to be like, I want to be lied to. They don't lie to me on this show, so I need to go somewhere else, okay? So the only goal of this constant stream of negativity coming out of Podcastistan, Joe Kent, and others, the only goal is to fracture the MAGA movement. I call them Folex MAGA. They pretended to be part of our movement. They weaseled their way in. They shook hands. They patted people on the back. And the second they got in here, they took a big dump right inside the tent. They're like, who did that? The answer is you did it. That is their goal. Make no mistake. They want the midterms to go poorly so they can blame President Trump. They then want to run their own candidates where they think they're going to get jobs in the 2028 election if their candidate wins. I promised you. Now I'm getting all these emails. I got one the other day. I kid you not. This isn't like one of these dopey liberals. They tell those stories. I was in a coffee shop and someone came up to me and told me how much they hate Donald Trump and they make them up. This is real. I got probably 10 of these emails, DMs, and others. People saying into the work account here, hey, Dan, I when you first got out, I doubted what you were saying about the grifters and the doomers and their goal to fracture the MAGA movement. Now I see it. It's as if last week the kimono opened and everybody was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to see that. Now you're seeing it. I saw this X post this morning and I thought to myself, how many suckers are going to continue to believe this? This is at USA, Yep, John, Yep. all caps, of course. And that means this is really important, of course, all caps. Investigation blocked by the FBI. Oh, all caps. This is a serious guy. Kash Patel, former director of counterterrorism, from investigating the foreign leads into Charlie's assassination. I trust Joe Kent. Wow, that's really great with the FBI. Joe Kent tells Jimmy Dore, here we go. Isn't he like a comedian? It's like a comedian, right? Tries me. Okay. He tells Jimmy Dore, just go listen to his interview on Tucker's show and you'll see what that guy's made, right? That he was at NCTC, Joe, and he was blocked from investigating Charlie Kirk's killing after the FBI said it had everything it needed. The case would be transferred to state authorities. Okay. Folks, I'm going to make this really simple for you. So again, this is that point of the show where we're reaching a truth red line. If you're not interested in the truth, please stop now because this is going to be really painful. There's nothing you can say to dispute the fact that 3 + 3 = 6, no matter how hard you try, okay? So first, I just wanted to show you this picture because I actually like Joe Kent, appreciate his service to the country, made a lot of sacrifices with his family. Of course, the tragic story of his wife. Told you, there's an amazing plaque up at the NSA I've seen myself dedicated to the heroism of his wife who died tragically serving this country. That doesn't dispute any of that. Matter of fact, I said the same thing about Bob Mueller. Bob Mueller was served the country in the armed forces. Great, we appreciate that. However, that does not absolve you from that point on from having to tell the truth and not being a liar. Joe Kent has chosen to disgrace himself. Joe Kent is continuing to insist he was blocked from doing something he's not authorized to do. I can't think of a simpler example. I'll get to I just put it in ChatGPT to make it really easy in case you think like I'm making this up. Joe cannot answer a simple question. You should ask him this. Please explain to me what investigative law enforcement authorities or powers you had at NCTC that you were blocked from engaging in. So I put in this really simple one everyone can understand. Everyone knows what a subpoena is, right? Deus tecum, ad testificatum. You get a subpoena to produce documents, deus tecum, or ad testificatum, to come testify in a civil or a criminal trial. You get a subpoena, means you have to go, okay? Now, a traditional tool of law enforcement or an investigative body would be a subpoena. So if Joe was an investigator into the case that was authorized to investigate the case, then he should have subpoena power or someone, correct? But because NCTC is not an investigative body, I just put this simple question in to help you guys. Because what he's saying about Kash is what is he alleging a crime? Kash obstructed justice? Really? Does the NCTC, National Counterterrorism Center, have subpoena power? No. The NCTC does not have independent subpoena power. Their Title USC authorities are to analyze and integrate terrorism intelligence, strategic operational planning, coordination, and to maintain the government's repository of information on known and suspected terrorists. The statute does not, wait, hold on. I'm not done yet. Go back. The statute does not grant NCTC or its director, i.e. formerly Joe Kent, authority to issue subpoenas or compel private parties to produce records or testimony. Wow. It goes on. This is really strange. It seems like he's lying to you about being blocked from something. It's like saying like the IRS was blocked from a local, missing kid case in Stewart, Florida. Is there any tax nexus? No. So how were they blocked? They have no authority to investigate it. If compulsory process is needed, subpoenas, i.e., an agency possessing that authority would obtain it, such as, oh, look at it, Andy, it's crazy, such as the FBI. Does that say FBI? DOJ? Andy's raising it. I think it does, and my eyesight's not great. And the terrorism intelligence, if there is any, would be made available to the NCTC. There's another significant limitation. I'm just reading to you ChatGPT. The NCTC director, i.e. Joe Kent, someone should just ask him this on a show. Jimmy Dunce or whatever. Jimmy has a meltdown every time. I love this guy. I own this guy. I'm in his head every time. Watch him freak out. The guy's supposed to be a comedian. The NCTC director cannot direct the execution of counterterrorism operations. He can't. Wait, why? Congress, not me, not Dan Bongino, deliberately structured it primarily as an intelligence integration and strategic planning organization rather than a law enforcement agency. Look at that. Well, looky here. One more. Here's a quick one for you. ChatGPT is like, in case you're stupid, it doesn't say that, but like, here in shorthand, FBI is the investigative agency with compulsory legal authorities. NCTC is there for intelligence fusion and interagency counterterrorism coordination. Oh my gosh. Can we put flags in the chat about what? Just put them in advance because this is the most red flag ever. I promise you, if Joe Kent were to come out tomorrow and say something like, I love the Jews, every single person out there, flags in the chat, 37,000.8 flags in the chat. I love it, by the way, they can't keep up with their audience. It's always asymmetric. You want to start a fight with us, we always win. The numbers don't work for you and they never will. Either do the facts. So we're up 2-0. Facts in our favor, numbers in our favor. You want to keep messing around, we're going to keep making you look stupid. I was blocked from conducting an investigation I had no authority to conduct whatsoever at all. I guarantee you this, flags all over in the chat, guaranteed. If Joe Kent were to come out tomorrow and say like, I love the Jews and I don't hate Israel anymore, I guarantee you every single person telling you they trust him and is telling you the truth, despite the fact that he's obviously lying, every single person would turn on him and go, that guy's full of crap. He had no authority. Look at it. It's right there. And any AI system can tell you that. I mean, I can't give you any easier example of this. Not to mention, Charlie Kirk and Tyler Robinson is entitled to a free and fair and open trial. He is innocent until proven guilty. He is entitled to his day in court. I don't understand why you can. This is a Utah state case. It's not an FBI case. There was assistance provided, and that's it. This is all open source. I mean, this is like saying, like, I can't believe the DEA was blocked from a United States Secret Service money counterfeiting case. They're not blocked. They have no authority to investigate counterfeiting. They investigate drugs. NCTC doesn't investigate anything. Can someone just investigative authority? Put up the picture again, by the way. I was friendly with Joe. I had Joe on my show when he ran for office. To watch this guy just completely lie about me, just make it up that he was blocked when he knows he wasn't blocked with anything. This was me over at, what does that say above my head, Andy? He's trying to read it like it's an eye chart. You know when they block one eye? Justin's got him like this. He thinks it says NCTC, which would probably mean I was at where? At NCTC? This was me telling Joe, and I had only been there a few months. Hey, man, you need anything? Come on over. We're happy to like brief you in where we can and appropriate. Nope. Nice tie. You like that tie? Yeah. I don't know about the gray suit. The light gray. I don't know. It was hot. You know, I think that was August, that picture. Yeah, Paul about that tie, not me. You know, oh, you guys were blocked. Really? I'm smiling. So is he. I'm blocking why I didn't like him or something? Blocking him from what? Blocking him from what? It's like saying I blocked the Bureau of Indian Affairs from the Charlie Kirk investigation. What jurisdiction did they have? Zero. Of course, again, you can all, I get the responses. Here, go to my X account. It's kind of hilarious. Go and read the responses from the bot army below. It's all bots and BS. You can tell because they can't even win a primary, this group of losers. These absolute zeros got smoked. They lose everywhere, and they're going to lose today in Florida again and get smoked. They have no power. They have no connections. They have no like oomph. They have no whatever freaking je ne sais quoi. All their connections are amongst themselves. They just talk to themselves. And when I say connections, I mean to activists and people actually doing work. They don't care about any of that. They care about destruction only. All they do is one big circle jerk where they talk amongst themselves. And then they lose. And then they go out and you'll get 5,000 comments. The Jews suck. You're like, what does that have to do with this post? There's nothing. It's all BS, man. I can't believe people are falling for this crap. Folks, make it make sense, please. You know you can't dispute anything I just said. So you rage out, you claw at your faces. Oh, Dan this, Dan, make it all personal. It's only because you know what I'm saying is right. That's why it bothers you. Change your diapers, man. Clean up a little bit. It's embarrassing at this point. My gosh. Folks, make it make sense, please. I want to talk about this next because this is what happens when you become immune to facts. When you've taken a facts vaccine, unlike like the COVID vaccine, like a vaccine that actually is super effective, when you've taken a vaccine against facts, i.e. you're a diehard leftist or a doomer and a grifter, nothing's happening, Joe Kent, I trust it. You trust what? Do you trust information or you just blindly trust people who lie to you? Ask him the question. What investigative authority? Why can't you ask him that? Cite to me the United States Code where you have any authority to investigate this at all. I don't. Okay, case closed, period. That's it. Case closed. Thank you, Your Honor. You're acting like a leftist. Socialism. We love socialism. Hey, are you bothered by the fact that hundreds of millions of people were exterminated, tortured, killed, shoved in gulags? Their ability to practice their own religion and speak freely was taken away. Their children were murdered. And I'm immune to those facts. Okay, you need it. Stupid choice. What? It's even on a shirt. We had to do it. Of course, the back says, don't be stupid. Stupid's a choice. Don't be a Syac. Syac's in the chat. You don't have to be stupid. Someone got mad at me on X this morning. I tried to read some of the comments, can't get to all of them. Someone said to me, Dan, stop saying stupid is a choice. No, it is a choice. You don't have to be dumb. You have a surrogate brain now called the internet you can use to do homework. Don't be stupid. I'll show you.
Sorry.
What I mean with this socialism. This poll is really shocking. But not only that, I want to show you how Democrats do the exact same thing. Democrats and socialists do this exact. Here it is in the Hill right here. And then in a CBS YouGov poll, socialism was seen in a very positive or somewhat positive light by 58% of Democrat respondents. 6 out of 10 Democrats believe death, destruction, gulags, torture, the lack of private property, working for a government that doesn't pay you, starvation, tyranny, that is all absolutely wonderful. 6 out of 10 people. Folks, don't be a Syac. I'm going to show you why. Like, even when they're asked to go out and do and it affects them, they automatically change their mind.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there. This video will be in my daily news wrap-up. So I'm 21 minutes into this. It's an hour and 36-minute video, so there's plenty of great information left. Let me go ahead and click on the Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from the Dan Bongino Show. This is the video I shared with you. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All righty then. Let's jump back here. And we got Viper Senior in here today, and Debbie BS. Foxy Grandma has joined us. So great, great, great. Anybody else want to jump in there? Please do so. Please chat and rumble, says Viper Senior. I kind of like what he says. Yeah, I like the way he talks. Okay, let's jump down here and see what Dr. Steve Turley has to say. Again, activist judge overturned. Trump gets green light to deport Somalians. Okay, that sounds like good news to me. Let's check this out. So Somalis have special privileges that you can deport somebody from Brazil or Mexico or China or Yugoslavia, but Somalis have special status that an activist judge says, no, if they're Somalian, you can't do that. Okay, well, let's see what Dr. Steve has to say.
Masterclass. All right, let's dive right in here. What if I told you that an Obama-appointed federal judge, who Democrats and the media practically canonized as the last line of defense against President Trump, just did something nobody in the resistance ever saw coming. She folded. She looked at the law, she looked at the Supreme Court, and she basically told a room full of activist lawyers, I can't help you anymore. Well, it actually happened. U.S. District Judge Allison Burroughs, the same judge Republican Congressman Andy Ogles had already threatened to impeach over this exact case, she just lifted, I kid you not, her own injunction and cleared the way for the Trump administration to terminate temporary protected status for nearly 1,100 Somali nationals. As it turns out, their temporary protected status is indeed actually temporary as a result of this activist judge just overturning her own activism. Now, if you don't know, this Obama-appointed federal judge, Judge Burroughs, has been a thorn in President Trump's side for months. She originally blocked this termination of TPS back in March. She blocked it again in July after plaintiffs tried to dress it up with, brand new constitutional claims. This was the judge who just 2 weeks before this ruling scolded the Trump administration for what she called, quote, shameful cruelty. That's right, shameful cruelty for enforcing the temporary protected status. I know we live in a time when liberals are confused over what is a woman, like they are in the women's, right, WNBA. But I didn't realize that there was an equal amount of confusion over the meaning of the word temporary. But apparently there was. That is, until now. This same Obama-appointed activist judge is now actually the one signing off on the mass deportations. Pigs really do fly. If you're not familiar with the whole stories, back in January, the Trump administration announced the end of the nation of Somalia's TPS designation, arguing that conditions in the country had improved enough that the humanitarian protection was no longer justified. Of course, liberal advocacy groups sued immediately because they don't know the meaning of the word temporary any more than they know the meaning of the word woman. For Democrats, the T in TPS stands for Trojan horse. Make that one word, right? Trojan horse. It's yet another way of permanently, not temporarily, but permanently changing the demographics in our nation to their political favor. So the Trump administration was immediately sued by these far-left groups, and a far-left judge, Judge Burroughs, and an Obama appointee sitting in Boston said, you got it. We're all in this together. We're the resistance. We're the activists disguised as lawyers and jurists. You got it. Temporary is not temporary. But then something happened back in June. The U.S. Supreme Court dropped a bombshell in a case called Mullen versus Doe. The court ruled that the TPS statute, the actual law Congress passed back in 1990, bars judicial review of basically any non-constitutional challenge to a TPS termination decision. So basically, the court found that Congress wrote into the law itself that courts don't get to second guess the Secretary of Homeland Security's calls on this. There is no judicial review over whatever the executive branch determines in this case in terms of TPS. The ruling cleared the way then for the administration to end TPS for Haiti and Syria too. And so as of just days ago, on August 14th, the wheels came off this activist judge's injunctions. Burroughs herself openly acknowledged that under the law, as the Supreme Court now reads it, she has no basis to block President Trump's deportation. It turns out it's over 2,000 Somalis. And so she had no choice but to overturn her own judicial activism. Again, reality is stranger than fiction. And in light of that decision, there's one Somali that conservatives want deported more than any other. And it does look as if things are going from bad to worse for this ultra repulsive Democrat. Wait until you see this. Have you ever wondered why your energy starts to change as you get older? Communicate
Okay,
food
so let
slims
me
in
go ahead and
everyday
do this
that
commercial.
age-related.
There we go. So how's everybody doing tonight? Okay, I hope. All right, here we go.
At the Turning Point event about how they're investigating her, and we also heard the news yesterday that the DOJ is increasing denaturalization efforts. So I mean, she might be in hot water here. I'm just saying that much. And to Todd Blanche, I'll say this to you straight: if you denaturalize and deport Ilhan Omar, you will be a national hero, and I will come on your show next time, Kaylee, wearing Todd Blanche's face emblazoned on my shirt. So.
That's the one and only Nick Sorter commenting on Attorney General Todd Blanche's crackdown on naturalized citizens who lied their way to citizenship, directing the DOJ Civil Division to prioritize denaturalization of anyone who obtained citizenship through fraud. The DOJ has filed more than 120 civil denaturalization complaints since January of 2025. Which is the largest coordinated denaturalization effort in the department's history. Historically, denaturalization was reserved really more for these extreme cases. So like finding out somebody's a war criminal or human rights abusers or national security threats, things like that. But now AG Blanche's directive expands that priority list to include marriage fraud, identity fraud, and other concealed disqualifying conduct during naturalization. And so, of course, that directive has reignited long simmering questions about Representative Ilhan Omar, who's faced years of allegations that she married her brother to help him gain immigration status. And there is a federal investigation into Omar as we speak. But all of this points in the end to the even larger issue. And that is the overall deportation numbers, which are simply historically unprecedented. President Trump promised the largest deportation operation in American history, and he has delivered on that promise in spades. ICE logged in roughly 356,000 removals this year alone through mid-July, averaging over 1,200 people a day, with researchers projecting the agency is on pace for around 500,000 forced deportations by year's end. That's up from last year's numbers, which were already a sharp increase from anything we have seen prior. Remember, past administrations counted those stopped at the border and then forced to go back as deportations. That's how Obama's deportation numbers got so high. So they basically padded their numbers with border crossing stoppage and then being forced back. Whereas, as you know, you've seen with your own eyes, President Trump, particularly, for example, in Minneapolis, he's engaged in real active deportations, finding, arresting, deporting nearly now over 1 million illegal migrants all over the country, with another 2 million voluntarily leaving. And rulings like the Somalia TPS case add fuel to that number by clearing the same legal path for other pending TPS cases: Ethiopia, South Sudan, El Salvador, Ukraine, Haiti, all facing the identical legal inevitability. So, bottom line, the legal roadblock is gone, ironically, at the hands of the very judge that provided that roadblock in the first place. Somalia's TPS ended officially on August 14th. The Supreme Court's June ruling built the blueprint every other TPS case in the pipeline will now follow, while this administration quietly closes in on the biggest deportation numbers in American history, and perhaps, just perhaps, the most repulsive member of Congress will find that her turn has come at last. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section below. And as always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button for breaking.
Okay, there we have it, folks. And that's great. 500,000 deportations this year. But Biden allowed in what, 20 million in his 4 years as president? I mean, those were some of the numbers. They say 10, 7, 14, 20. If it was 20 million at 500,000 a year, folks, that would take 40 years to get all those illegals out that Obama let in. Isn't that astounding? I mean, you're talking about, 1,200 or 1,500 a day being deported. Biden allowed in 12,000 people a day. But the border was secure, okay? Again, more lies and propaganda from the lying deep state Democrats. Whew, unbelievable. But that's good news. That's more than, as he said, any other president. Let me click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does
TPS
come
case.
from Dr. Steve Turley. This is the video I shared with you. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All righty then. There we go. Yes, Biden was a puppet. And I voted for this too. All right. Let's slide down here and see what Sean on the Bongino report says. I had a hard time figuring out SFLive. Sean Farish. Duh. Okay, here we go. Let's listen to Sean Farish and see what he has to say. This is his second day on the Bongino network, I guess you could call it. Silverlock.
You guys don't know who Brennan is, and they were asking a lot of good live. We made it through the launch. We got it done. Thank you, everybody, for the incredible support yesterday. I hope you had a good time. I received a lot of good feedback. A couple of things I did hear afterwards. Number one, right off the top, some of you guys don't know who Brennan is, and they were asking Guy, who is this woman on off mic, off camera, who keeps coming through? That's my wife. I was like,
Okay, hold on here, folks. I think I boo-booed up. Let me go ahead and share the screen here for Sean. One moment. Here we go. There. I think that's it. Nope. Let me get back here and start it again. I screwed up. I closed the wrong tab. Here we go. Let's try it again. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. Let me refresh.
Bongino Report PM radio show 3 to 6, and I'm going to have your first hour there as well, from 3 to 4 Eastern time. So we appreciate that. A big thank you to Dan and team for making that possible as well. Super excited for it and excited to dive into today's show. We're going to jump into, on the first half, the title of it is that the radicals aren't hiding anymore, which it may not be breaking news to a lot of people, but it's true. For the last 10 years, we talked about, hey, this person is kind of sounding like a communist, or this person is running on some pretty radical ideas, or this person. Now they're out there admitting it, right? They're out there admitting it in their official party platform over at the DNC. They're out there admitting it on their, in their meetings, their Zoom meetings, or whatever this was. We've got a clip of a few DSA types in there quite literally calling for the end of the Constitution and revolution, which is no good. We don't want that. I don't want that. I know there are some that want that. I don't. That's what we're fighting against. Unfortunately, you do have a squad, and I think I'm going to start to call it, right? This is the radical left's right hand, okay? The grifters, the doomers, the black pillars, the sensationalists, the clickbaiters out there. It is the left's right hand, right? We call it the woke right. People don't like that. Oh, how could you be woke? And you could be, that's a whole convoluted explanation. I will call it the left's right hand. I think that's pretty accurate. Makes a lot of sense to a lot of people. We can make that happen. By the way, I told everybody in the chat, I'm wearing an old school Dan Bongino Show shirt. I'm not sure if you guys can see this, but this is back 2019. It is the New Rules We Win, You Lose shirt. Okay. 2019 edition. And I'll just give you a quick little backstory on that, and then we'll dive into the show. I was at work training. I was out in Pennsylvania, and I listened to that episode, the New Rules episode that Dan did, where he was flipping out. It's the new rules. We win, you lose. And I'm in the hotel room with a total stranger, right, that they pair you up with. I was working for Sherwin-Williams at the time. He's a nice guy, but I'm laying down in my bed. He's sitting down. He's doing his thing. And I'm like getting really pumped about it. And he goes, "What are you listening to?" I said, "I'm listening to Dan Bongino." Unapologetically. He goes, "Who is that?" He's not a political guy. He says, "Dan's a political guy. You may love him. You may not. He's great. It's an amazing show." And I'm just really excited about what I'm listening to. I'm all pumped. I kid you not. I emailed the team way back, said, "I need a New Rules shirt. I need a New Rules shirt." Within a week or two, he comes on and says, there's been a lot of emails. So the New Rules shirt came in. And then when I met Dan at a book signing in 2019, was wearing this shirt. So it was really cool. And then Brennan wore this shirt. Again, Brennan is my wife. That's who that is. Some people didn't know who you were. It was like,
surprise.
Yes. So she was wearing this shirt. We were with Dan in Nashville a couple of years ago.
Yeah, he wanted me to say what it said, and I didn't know what it said. And so I was looking down, trying to read it upside down.
But she did know the cutesy time is over.
I did know cutesy time.
That is that's the background behind the New Rules We Win, You Lose shirt. I love this, and I will never get rid of this shirt. It's a legendary shirt in its own right. All right, before we get into all this, by the way, second half of the show, a lot on education. There's going to be a lot of information, again, that might not be new, but is very alarming and only further strengthens the argument in favor of school choice. All right? But I want you to consider this heading into the second half of the show. I want you to think about this topic, okay? We always say the education system is failing. It is, but it's failing the students. It's not necessarily failing the designers. So think about that, because that's going to be really the bulk of the second half of the show. Before we get to all of this good stuff, all the meat and potatoes, as I like to say, I want to talk to you about our friends over at OFP Farms. They are a great, great company, a great family. We've known them for a while. They've been with us since day one. OFP Farms is a family-owned.
Let me go ahead and get this.
So remember when Dan coined the term the outlaw president? And then I made a video about it, kind of, hey, that was a great idea. It's Trump's mugshot on soap, just to kind of show you exactly what they're all about. OFPfarms.com. Promo code SHAWN. We love them. Great people. Denise and Corey over there. All right, let's get right into it now. The radicals aren't hiding anymore. Then that's the title of the show. They're not hiding. Okay? A lot of people will say, oh, that's just one candidate who wants to abolish ICE. That's just one official in office who wants to defund the police. That's just one DSA representative on television who wants to, for example, abolish prisons. Okay, not anymore. So you have the Democrat Party, you have the Republican Party, you have their respective national committees. The Republican Party's national committee is the RNC. The Democrat Party's national committee is the DNC. And the DNC, we played that stupid land acknowledgement they did yesterday. Ha, hoo, wah, hee, ha, ho, ho, ho. That's what we should have played. I shouldn't have had Chief Golden Eagle. Should have played that scene from Finding Nemo. Ah, hoo, wah, hee, ha, ho, 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 hoo. Shark bait. Hoo, boo, boo. What is it? Shark bait. What is it? Hoo-ha-ha. Yeah. Shark bait. Ooh. Badoo. Enough of the shark bait. Shark bait. Okay. The Democrats and the Democratic National Committee had a meeting. They did their little nonsense land acknowledgement. But in that meeting, this article on Breitbart points out, a panel of the Democrat National Committee voted over the weekend on Saturday to defund the agency that enforces the nation's immigration laws and to end the detention of non-violent migrants. Okay. I'm going to start off with this. There is no more now, as Dan's been saying on the show, no backsies, right? There's no more running away from them. Not all Democrats want to abolish ICE. It is now the official National Party's platform that defunding and abolish ICE is the thing. The resolution committee's 27-12 vote on resolution number 27 has no direct impact on the law, because the DNC is not a lawmaking institution, right? The committee has no power to enforce its recommendation to the Democrats in Congress. But the way these national parties will work is if a candidate is getting ready to run for office and is seeking the blessing or an endorsement from the DNC, they'll go down the list of party platform items and see what they agree with before giving out that endorsement. At least that's the way it's supposed to work. It shapes the resolutions that become party policy, and it shows how the party's progressive leadership, and I don't like the term progressive, it's hard left, it's socialist, it's communist, is allowing itself to fall back into the extreme pro-migration, pro-poverty policy set by the folks who are working for Sleepy Joe. All right? So the resolution says the following. It urges Democratic members of Congress to craft legislation abolishing ICE. This is verbatim what the resolution says. So don't play this game. Oh, you're reading into it. You know, we used to have to do that back in 2020, right? When Black Lives Matter was a thing. I remember this. I was doing this too. Going into, some of the verbiage, some of the literature on Black Lives Matter's website and saying, this kind of mirrors Marx. This is kind of eerily similar to Marx. We live in that, 90-second attention span society, and it was really getting bad in 2020, right? Why? Because everyone was locked at home. They were doing silly TikTok dances because of COVID. You weren't allowed outside. It was like that episode of SpongeBob with the potato chip and the napkin and the penny, indoors, right? That whole nonsense. It's like, that's what everyone was doing. They were making friends with potato chips and napkins and pennies. I had friends that they were big Republicans. All of a sudden, they were hiding under the couch. I was like, COVID is all over the place. Shh, just go live your life. I did so much traveling during the COVID years. I went to Gettysburg. I was on airplanes. They were trying to do this nonsense with contact tracing. I said, catch me if you can, sucker. When I landed in the airport, you're going to have to, if you chase me around the airport, the whole plane's getting off, right? Yeah, no, you can't get me. It was great. The committee's resolution number 27, quote, urges Democrat members of Congress to craft legislation abolishing ICE and enacting immigration reform that provides pathways to citizenship for illegal aliens, protects illegal alien workers, and ensures dignity for all impacted people.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there, and that's just another example. I don't know. Let me know what I am not in favor of a new bill or law or act like that one. Let me know what you think, folks. Do you think that would be the thing to do? Is to reward people who came to this country illegally, did not go through the vetting process? Do you think that would be the thing to do? I don't know. Let me know. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me click on the Rumble link here. This video will be in my daily news wrap-up. This is the video I shared with you from Sean Farish of the Bongino Report. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All righty. One other thing here. Let me just jump over here. All right. Where are we? I actually want to go to the Bongino Report. Okay. Today he had 108,000 people watch his show. Yesterday, wow, 238,000 people watched his program. Amazing, isn't it? Okay, let me jump back here and see what we got going with Wendy Bell. Is anything real? It's a good question. Let's go ahead and click on that and see what she has to say.
It's a weird thing to be married to a doctor. Any of you married to a medical professional? the thing that's hard about it is whenever anything is wrong with you that you think is kind of important and you want to address to your, say, husband who's an interventional cardiologist and treats people who are probably really close to death an awful lot, yeah, they don't really consider what you're going through all that important. And so you have to kind of beat the drum for a while. Yeah, I did this, what was it, 20 years ago? What's your ailment? Let's start with that. What's your ailment? You got something going on in your life? Bad back, bad knee, maybe you've got a bad shoulder. Mine is my feet. Okay, I have tough feet. I have something called hallux rigidus. It sounds fancy, it's pretty common, and it's just this really kind of painful, annoying arthritis of the big toe. So if you run, if you jump, if you lunge, I mean, gee whiz, if you do basically anything, over time, the arthritis gets so bad and you really can't anymore. So I had surgery, which was ill-advised. I got a bad outcome. And I have been struggling with it ever since. Not that long ago, Brock and I went to a chiropractor. His back was bad. And he said, why don't you come along? This guy's got some interesting new therapies he could try on you. This percussion therapy that is painful as stones, but did the job, broke up the scar tissue. We did, these waves, this red light therapy. None of this, of course, is covered by my insurance. I walked out of there after 4 sessions, kid you not, 90% better. I was over the moon. I need to keep going back because now I'm limping around again. And I'm questioning myself. I'm like, why is insurance so willing to pay for the surgery that didn't work? And then when it didn't work, they're like, nah, well, sorry, too bad. Whereas therapy actually provides relief, but I've got to pay out of pocket. Right? I'm thinking this today as I'm going back to the beginning 20 years ago when I woke up and I had some pretty bad abdominal pain. And this is where the being married to a doctor thing's kind of a pain in the neck. I lived with this for a while, months, in fact, right? I'm not a complainer. I'm not one of these people who goes to WebMD and self-diagnoses. I'm also not an exaggerator. Look, I've had 5 kids, right? I've been through pain. I get it. We all have. This was different. Wasn't appendicitis, and it would happen predictably after I ate. And then I started paying attention to what I was eating. The pain was worse after I would eat the things I loved the most. I mean, give me a chicken wing, I'll be your girlfriend forever. It was tough, right? So Joe's like, clearly there's a problem with your gallbladder a year into this. I'm like, okay, what do you do about that? He's like, all right, we'll make an appointment. We'll go. The PCP does this and that. We'll go get this ultrasound. Okay, great. So I go to the ultrasound, which is really no big deal. Basically you pull down your pants and up your shirt and lie on your side, and they put some jelly on your belly and a wand and move it around. And there you go. They can see your gallbladder, which was tragic, ladies and gentlemen. It was tragic. Why? Because it wasn't a damn thing that was wrong with my gallbladder. It was perfect. In fact, it was so perfect, they called in the medical students to come in and take a look at the images. Most people don't have such clear images of their gallbladders because I'm thin. Come on in, kids, take a look. I got no diagnosis, no relief, no hope, zero. Another year goes by. I'm miserable. Joe, I can't do this anymore. We get back to the doctor. He's like, we're going to do this thing called a HIDA scan. Sort of like being in an MRI. So this thing's going around you as you're lying on a table. We're going to inject you with dye. And as this thing is going around you, it's going to show how the dye is processed by your gallbladder, right? Fine. I go through that. About 2 days go by and the phone rings. And it's the doctor calling my husband, not me. I'm like, hi, HIPAA, where are we? And they're talking and they're embarrassed. Because not only is my gallbladder horrible, it has 0.0 function. 0.0. The doctor's like, I've never seen a completely shut down gallbladder, right? So what happens? You go in, you have surgery, you get it better. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. I'm thinking to myself today, while it's lovely to be married to a doctor, you do get poor medical care at the end of the day because, they're dealing with actual life and death stuff. Why is the stuff that is supposed to help us so often the stuff that hurts us? Why is it the expensive stuff? Why is it the untested stuff? Why is it the stuff that medicine tells us we have to have? Whereas I could go in on the foot thing, have some therapy from a chiropractor, right? He's like, well, I don't normally do toes, but let's give this a shot. And I literally walked out in pain. I mean, no, without pain. What I'm trying to say to you is, look, I know we all have some sort of an ailment. Something is slowing you down. Something is stopping you from doing what it was that you used to do. And it's easy to put off. And it's meaningful often to postpone. But isn't it wild how thinking outside of the box of regular medicine, regular science, the stuff that we're told we need, the 82 shots for our children before they turn 18, all of the flu vaccines, the COVID vaccine, all of these procedures, remdesivir, forced ventilation, all of these things that were so richly rewarded with money and compensation ended up doing the most damage. And yet, clean living, walking a lot of steps, eating a serious diet, getting enough protein, and talking maybe to some doctors who think outside the paradigm of traditional science. Why is it that those are the cures so commonly? Huh? Is everything that we're told expensive, untested, and dangerous? Where so often the clues and the cures could be affordable, safe, and effective. That's the entirety of today's show, ladies and gentlemen. What we're going to talk about today, there are a lot of ailments in this country. There are a lot of cancers, a lot of evils. They've been covered up, glossed over, right? Smoke screened and memory hold. But the pain, we keep dragging it along with us. It's finally time, you guys, to open up and do what needs to be done and carve these people out of our lives. Anthony Fauci is going down. He is in hiding right now because he knows what he has done for his own ego, his own fame, his own self-aggrandized riches, caused millions of people around the world to die. We are at that epic crossroads where we have the knowledge, we have the power, we have the ability to try something new. That is what I believe this Trump administration is trying to do.
Yep.
Stop what has been so wrong.
Yes.
Fix the damage and change the system so that it can't happen again. And the people who are pushing back,
Yeah.
they're the ones who are scared of the gravy train ending.
Absolutely.
America deserves to be pain-free. We deserve that healing. And with your help, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get it. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, I'm going to talk about this thing at Penn State. It's such a monster thing. A huge drug ring, cocaine ring busted involving frat kids. Wow. Let's go there and I'll tell you why it matters next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
All righty. And you know, she's absolutely right here. Let me go ahead and get this moved up here. But excuse me. The fraud is ridiculous. One of my extras today with I believe it was Doug in Exile talked about there were like 13 states where there were more people registered to vote than there were people eligible to vote. So in other words, you know, if you're over 18 and you're alive and you know you are a resident of that state and you're not an illegal alien, then you're eligible to vote. Okay? South Dakota, for example, where the Super Rhino Thune is from, the ratio to eligible to vote and registered to vote is 101%. There's more people registered to vote, 101%, compared to 100% eligible to vote in South Dakota, where Thune is senator. No wonder he doesn't want to pass the Save America Act. And according to Doug, it's normally about 70% of the eligible people to vote are registered to vote, but not in South Dakota. 101% of the people who are eligible to vote are registered. There's 100. In other words, if there were 100 people eligible, there's 101 people registered. Now, some of those may be dead. Some of those may be illegal aliens. Some of those may be people that don't even live there. People that don't even exist, okay? But that's why Thune does not want to pass the Save America Act, because he's afraid his ass will get voted out. He won't have those extra cheat votes to throw into his basket. Amazing, isn't it?
Get a 10% off. Oh, I'm going to deal. Well, this is, he's like, I want your 3. Let's see who gets.
And I believe that I've mentioned that before. He must be benefiting by voter fraud if he doesn't want to end it. And that goes with all of them. If they're not willing to end the fraud, it's because they're part of the fraud. It's just that simple. Tell me if I'm wrong.
You got 12 people.
Mm-hmm.
Ho, 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 it's magic. You know.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. Have you ever considered how many people have to be in on a scam for it to last and continue and be covered up and silenced and smoke screened for half of a decade? Like, how many people have to be in on that? And then how do you get that many people to keep their mouths shut? Like, I wondered that about 2020, right? If any of us were paying attention, of course we were, to the election, a whole lot of things just didn't make sense. And so you got to ask yourself, well, when they pulled out from State Farm Arena, those big suitcases, the big boxes full of ballots, and fed them in all night during that water main break, right? How many people just in that room had to be down with that? And then how many people beyond that in other cities were doing the same thing? How many people were in on the theft of the 2020 United States presidential election? A crap ton. A crap ton. How does that stay silent? You got a lot of people covering up a lot of stuff, ladies and gentlemen. This whole Fauci story and all of this stuff, what he knew, when he knew it, what he said outside in public, and what he knew, and the discrepancy between that. How many people were in on that? At the highest levels of government, at the highest levels of Hippocratic responsibility, who didn't say a daggone thing. How many people at the FDA, ladies and gentlemen, have known for the better part of 40 years that there are some 10,000 chemicals and other additives and products in our American food supply, 99% of which have never been safety tested. What? And nobody pushed back. That's how I feel about this Penn State Coke bust. I mean, it's just crazy. Penn State cocaine bust nets 14 arrests over alleged pledge coke-cutting indoctrination rituals. So Delta, Upsilon, and Sigma Chi fraternities apparently used their pledges to cut coke that a couple of the dudes would go to New York and buy and then bring back, and then off Penn State campuses in their frat houses, that the pledges would be there like in a freaking sweatshop, right? Cutting the coke? With what? Or does that mean just putting it in the baggies or however you get coke? I don't know. How many people had to be in on this? Ladies and gentlemen, this was going on in 2023. We're hearing about it now. How long before 2023 was this going on? 13 kids arrested in this thing? 13 young people's lives basically ruined. More than a dozen Penn Staters are charged in connection with an alleged massive cocaine distribution ring. as one of the alleged ringleaders, Agostino Abatello, 24 of Westbury, New York, remains at large. So one of the guys is on the lam. One of the guy's dads was apparently obstructing the investigation. He was hindering their investigation. He's now been charged. You've got like this father-son nightmare going on. The Pennsylvania Attorney General Dave Sunday announced this guy, Abatello, was among 14 people facing charges related to this coke trafficking operation where students and 2 off-campus fraternities were allegedly involved. And this was in 2023 and 2024. You guys, how many people had to know about this? How many pledges had to walk in on this and knowingly be like, well, I really want to score with some chicks and go to some parties, so I guess this is my hazing. I guess it's better than having to go out with, whatever and do some drinking stuff, cutting cocaine. Tom Homan said something very interesting yesterday, and it's a perfect thing to play in juxtaposition of this. ICE is trying to cut back on the cartels, cut back on drugs. And the Democrats and the deep state want to stop that. Listen.
Look, they say they want to abolish ICE. Even members of Congress say let's abolish ICE. But what they're failing to tell the people is we're enforcing the laws that they wrote, that they enacted. We're not making this up. We're doing the same job we did under any other president, except under the last 4 years under Joe Biden, ICE wasn't allowed to enforce the law. If they look at the results of what ICE has done, right, yet record numbers of arrest deportation. In June, ICE arrested more illegal aliens than any time in the history of the agency. July, we blew June out of the water. August is going to be the same thing. And people need to remember, just short of 70% of everybody we arrest is a criminal. So we're removing hundreds of thousands of criminals from their neighborhoods, make their neighborhoods safe again. But they have an answer to abolishing ICE. Okay, ICE just found 151,000 missing children that were smuggled during the Biden administration. They lost track of. Some of these children were victims of sex trafficking. Some were forced into labor. We rescued those children, 151,000. So you want to abolish the agency that found 151,000 children. You want to abolish the agency that seasoned up fentanyl, kill every American 3 times over again. You want to abolish the agency that is attacking sex trafficking and women and children across that border. It just don't make sense. Again, we're making this country safe again. The numbers prove it. Simply look at the data.
It just don't make sense. I agree. It doesn't make any sense. Mr. Border Czar, who's been doing a phenomenal job, who's been under fire, who's had death threats on his life. For doing what? Making America safe. Make it make sense, ladies and gentlemen. And to all of those involved in that Penn State mess, how long did they know? Why did nobody say anything? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, Eric Swalwell is a low IQ individual with a sex problem. Boy, don't you want to come back now? Yeah, you do. Next.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and pause it here and move on, but this video will be in my daily news wrap-up. So if you want to hear about that, you can join us there, okay? Let me click over here on the Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Wendy Bell Radio. This is the video I shared with you. I've given her a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All righty, let's jump back here, folks. And we've got a lot of great chats here. Thank you very much, Viper Senior. I'm glad you liked the show. Okay, let's put this chats into a comment here. There we go. Now that's a permanent part of this video. Also, let me remind you that these videos that I've shared with you here are videos that come directly from the producer. I've got the links to the videos here in the description box, as well as the links to the producer's channel, in case you want to go check more information that they might have. Now, these videos that I've shared with you tonight are videos that I've posted on Murtech.com, where I have over 40 no-nonsense, common sense, logic and truth videos. This is your one-stop shop for information that you're not going to get on the mainstream media. The link to Murtech.com is in the description box. It's a free site. I don't ask for your name. I don't ask for your email address. I don't ask you to sign up for a newsletter or drop cookies on your computer. Don't have a bunch of ads popping up in your face. It's just a place to come to get no nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth. I'd like to share all of it with you, but unfortunately, I just don't have the time to do so. And that's why I've put together my Mertech Daily News Wrap Up playlist, where I have 24 videos, it says here. We're going to start off with Wendy Bell, where we left off, go with the Bongino Report with Sean, Dan Bongino. Then we're going to do some Vince from the Bongino Report, X22 Report, We the People News, Matt Morris TV, Graham Allen, The Sean Spicer Show, Steve Dace. A ton of great information here, folks. So please go ahead and take a break right now. Grab a cup of coffee and a donut, or a sandwich and a soft drink, or maybe a glass of wine and some cheese, and meet me back here in about 15 minutes, 15 or 20 minutes, so I can get this set up in Rumble Studio. But in the meantime, I do want to thank you for being here. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless.